Okay, so my name is Keith Gellhorn, and I'm the founder and Chief Empowerment Officer of ADDvocacy. And today I want to introduce you to one of our advocacy coaches. This is Lee Nicholas. So Lee, tell me about yourself.
Hey Keith, thanks for having me on today. I'm really excited about doing this with you. I'm super excited about working with advocacy. And yeah, the reason that I came to this in the first place is because of my life experience. What else would bring me here? I'm a person with neurodiversity myself, and I've encountered some health challenges recently in my life, and before that, I've encountered some challenges with being included in society in various ways, being discriminated against. I've encountered abuse in my life. I've encountered poverty in my life. I've encountered a lot of things in my life, which gives me lots of experience and allows me to relate to a number of different people.
So can you tell me a little bit more about your kind of life and work experience over the years that led you to this position?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've done a number of different things in my life, and I guess my longest career was a career in property management. And that's a bit of a misnomer. People think you're managing property, like, fixing buildings and doing maintenance, which is all part of it. But a big part of it is also the people management. And in doing that, it satisfied a little bit of a desire in me to help people navigate the world. I've always been the kind of person that looks for solutions or problem solves, and that's my greatest ability in life, is to solve problems. And what I found when I was doing property management is the diversity of people you deal with. And quite literally, I dealt with every walk of life. And I also dealt with literally every problem. Everything from people playing their music a little too loud to, domestic violence situations, to health situations, to, abuse situations, all kinds of things. And in doing that, I realized that my real focus is to help people. And that's the thing that really sort of propelled me into this profession, or helped me realize that, I really just want to be helping people. And when I came across my health challenges, I was in a lot of pain. And as I was going through that, I discovered that creativity helped my pain situation. And that really inspired me to start looking into other things that would help people. And, one thing led to another, and here I find myself in this profession, and I couldn't be happier, because it allows me to get paid to do things that I never thought I'd get paid to do.
Well, just to add a little thing. So I actually had the opportunity to coach you about a year and a half ago, as she was coming up through a something called the Self-Employment Benefits Program for another business you own called Abe's Creative Studio, where you do paint pouring and a bunch of cool artsy stuff. And it was in that coaching process where I had the opportunity to coach you that I also realized that you would make the most amazing coach ever. And it kind of came full circle that we were able to train you and then get you back into working with us. It's pretty neat how the world works, right? When we see that potential in other people, to be able to bring them back full circle. So that gets me to my next question is, why did you get into coaching?
Right. So yeah, that was powerful, Keith. And the full circle moment was a huge reason why I went into coaching. Your belief in my ability to coach was one thing, but even before you and I had that conversation, about
hmm
me becoming a coach. You know, it was in my mind. I was thinking about it. I was looking at it, and so on and so forth. The biggest reason I came to coaching is because, again, it goes back to that problem solving thing. My biggest desire in life is to find the most efficient and simplest way to do things. And when I look at my life experience and the challenges that I had, my desire is just to make it easier on somebody else, help somebody get to where they want to be quicker and with less suffering. That's really
Love
what.
that answer, and I can absolutely agree with you because you have become my coach over the years as well.
Mhm.
So when I think of my personal coach, and I talk about that with other people and clients or whatever, you're my coach. I meet with you every single week, 7:30 in the morning. We have great chats, and this is the thing with coaching is that you have to kind of buy the Kool-Aid, right? So if you're working with other people, you should have a coach yourself and or collaborate with other coaches in general. So yeah, like I said, I started coaching you. In turn, you started coaching me. We formed an amazing friendship. I love you to death. And now here we are getting to work together. And to be honest, you've helped me more than anybody else has. I'm getting a little emotional. I could say anybody else has this in terms of when I hit my limiting beliefs, you have an uncanny ability to get me uncorked like nobody else can, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Um, so
Wow.
on that, so what do you think makes you such a great coach at this point?
Wow, that's a huge act to follow. Nothing
Ad
like
lib.
pressure.
Yeah,
I love you too, by the way, and I love what we do together. I love the way that we work together, and you know, so I think what makes me an amazing coach is the fact that if I was free enough to call myself that, but I think what makes me so passionate about what I do is really the fact that I do believe it's all about loving one another. I do believe that love is the answer, and coaching is my way of sharing my love with another human being. And I also believe that we all have uh, everything we need within us. So all I get to do is show the person I'm speaking with. I get to reflect back to them what they already know and how they're an amazing individual already and how they can build upon that. That's really all I do for people. And I think what I think my biggest gift is my ability to see uh, the real person, the core human being that's behind the problem that they're presenting.
I can affirm that. You've got twofold. One is just seeing kind of the big picture. So you can kind of look from the big picture, look down and kind of see opportunities around that when individuals, and I'll speak personally, I get stuck like anybody else, right? And sometimes I can't see, literally using an old cliche, the forest through the trees by any means. And, you have an amazing ability to kind of get in, uh, help me like clear out the cobwebs essentially and find my way through the other end, and also give like amazingly sound practical advice, which for somebody with ADHD, we don't need necessarily a bunch of hypotheticals, right? Sometimes we need a little bit of guidance, and whether it's ADHD, anxiety is the same way, learning disabilities are the same way. And I know you've shared with me that you've had some learning barriers as well, and people don't get it. They're just like, well, get over it. And we can't get over it. That's the thing. And I say that personally about myself too, is that I'm going to live with this for the rest of my life. I can either live in regret and hating the fact that this has happened to me, or I can live with acceptance accept the fact that it's happening, and then engage in other people to help uncork those blockages that come. And you do that so well, which is why we're sitting here today and you're part of the team. So can you describe to me who your ideal client might be?
So as you were just talking there, Keith, I'm inspired to share a moment that you and I had, because as you sit here and praise me, what people don't necessarily know is how amazing a coach you are. And I remember the moment that you reminded me that I'm a person with disabilities as well. I remember sitting in that room with you and bursting into tears, realizing that after 30 years of dealing with a learning disability in the only way that was possible 30 years ago, I suddenly realized that 30 years had passed and there's probably some new technology that could help me. And like, I was blown away when you said that to me. It was like the most amazing moment, and talk about getting emotional. But
Like a tear or three.
yeah, but it was the most amazing moment, because even though I'd advocated for people for years, I'd advocated for people with disabilities, I'd accessed the disability fund, I had done all kinds of stuff, I'd never thought about applying that to myself, even though I knew I was a person with neurodiversity. It was an amazing moment. And seeing people. Sorry, I got distracted there, but I wanted to share that moment because that was
I do appreciate it. I mean, I did the same thing myself. I went through all of school helping especially when I started this business, helping people get grants, get funding, everything else. You know who never had any funding? This guy, right? Which is like, I knew it like the back of the hand, but I never employed it. I mean, I still did incredibly well, and I employed other resources, mainly Alana Tatry, who was our head coach here at Advocacy. She was actually sitting beside me in class when I went in, and I bought all these binders. I'm like, I'm the guy that's going to get this stuff sorted out. I look beside me, there's an 18-year-old sitting there with a 3-inch binder and a amazingly color-coded agenda, and whammo, I said, I sucked up my pride as a 36-year-old big man, asked an 18-year-old, can you show me how to do that? And I sat beside her for a year, and I got straight A's, and I calmed myself down, and she would poke me when I get frustrated to just like, calm down, Keith, and unofficially coach me through the whole thing. Didn't even realize she was doing it. Now she's our head coach, right? So it's amazing, like the power of what we can see in other people to help bring us forward. And again, we're all now working in cahoots, and it's pretty awesome. So yeah, so back to the kind of like the final question. What's your ideal client look like?
Oh yeah. So my ideal client, Keith, is you and me, basically. What it comes down to, you and me. And what I mean by that is people with neurodiversity, people with health challenges, and people who have faced challenges in their life. And I know that's a pretty broad spectrum, but my ideal client is the kind of person who's looking to find solutions in their lives, looking to get to a better spot in their life, looking to improve their self by looking inwards, by not looking outwards, by not, trying to blame the world around them, but trying to find solutions that work for them. And so, people who've faced health challenges, people with neurodiversity, people from the lesbian and gay community, queer, bi, trans community. I have experience in that. I've worked in the industry of helping people with abuse. I've suffered abuse myself, so I know what that's about, both physical, sexual, and domestic abuse. So those are the people that I'm most passionate about helping. Those are the people that I think I bring the most to the table to help with.
Yeah, I really appreciate you sharing today, and I wanted to also mention one other thing that Lee and I have had the privilege of doing is we also facilitate workshops from a peer perspective, and I learned how to do workshops just from scratch. I just started winging it and figure out what happened. I got a big personality and it was great. But I have to say, as soon as I added Lee to the mix, her and I, well, you kind of apprenticed, as it were, just earlier this year, and we killed it. Like it's so amazing to have another person who's just as confident, as funny, engaging. Lee can engage an audience like nobody else can, right? She's got some really neat. You've got some really neat the authenticity games that we do with, or that you've done with people, and yeah. So another piece to this, beyond just the coaching, not I should say just coaching, but beyond coaching. Yeah, if anybody's also looking for peer-led professional development trainers for like educators, employers, frontline workers, or students themselves, right? Like, or like youth themselves that are, just getting started and looking at taking on the world. That's kind of our jam, and it's a natural flow. Like, we didn't prep it before, we just went in, we're like, oh, let's go for it. And anyways, it resulted actually, and I have to say that resulted in a 3-year extended contract that I got to do basically one of these every 6 months for the next 3 years. So it's yeah, that's another huge asset that you have, that you're also bringing into advocacy. Anyways, any final words at all?
My final words would have to be, Keith, it's the chemistry that you and I share that makes us so amazing, and I love working with you. And one other thing I did want to mention, and it occurs to me, and I've always said this about you, is that you have the most amazing energy and attract the most amazing people. So I'm honored to be a friend and a colleague, and look forward to building some great stuff.
I really appreciate that. I got to cut it here before I cry, and we'll go from there. So, all right.